Jesse and Sydney were the best of friends. They did everything together. This relationship was made possible by the friendship between Hayden Durand and Andy Park. However, today, Andy Park is suing Hayden Durand for negligence. Now, because of this, the plaintiff has the burden of proof. They must prove by the preponderance of the evidence that Hayden Durand was a negligent parent. They must prove the elements that Hayden Durand did not properly warn Jesse about the danger of firearms, that Hayden did not inform the Parks about any previous violent acts, that she expected that Jesse and Sydney would be together, and that they would be informed. Now today, the plaintiff has failed in their claim. We heard from our own, as a defense, we were not required to bring witnesses today. However, we brought them to show even more how they failed in their attempt. The first witness that we called was Jesse. Jesse, as we heard before, simply stated that she loved her mother, that her mother and her had a connection, that whenever, due to being a single parent, whenever Jesse had a problem, she could go to her mother, and her mother would talk to her and sit down with her. Jesse also stated how Sydney and her were best of friends, and that the shooting was incidental, not triggered by any obsession that Jesse had. Now, we also called Astra Rosa to the stand. And Astra Rosa explained how this firearm was so dangerous in the household. And this shows even more the responsibleness of Hayden Durand in not allowing a firearm to be in the Durand household. And it also shows how irresponsible the Parks were in keeping a firearm in their home. In fact, he goes on to say that this could have been prevented had a simple door been locked, and Sydney Park would be here today. Now, finally, we called Hayden, who is the defendant, and she explained how she took multiple actions to prevent any sort of obsession that the plaintiff may be trying to prove. Now, she stated multiple times that she sat down with Jesse and played these video games with her. She supervised Jesse and made sure that Jesse understood the difference between real life and a video game. She also had talks with Jesse, which also added to the effect that Hayden was making. We also heard that from Solo that these student disciplines and all the evidence that the plaintiff brought were signs. However, Hayden showed that these were not signs of any obsession. She showed that the parent notification was biased and that it simply was not true. She also showed that the picture did not have any underlying message to it. It was just a drawing made by Jesse for her loving mother. The final evidence that they tried to show was that the email, that Hayden Durand had certain worries about her daughter through the email. However, as we have seen, that she was just being a loving single mother and wanted to make sure her daughter was okay. Now, to try and prove that their burden, the plaintiff called 3 witnesses today. The first witness they called was the grieving mother, Andy Park. Now, Andy Park showed that she let her own child into the house with a gun, that she would left her child alone, and thus would be doing the same as Hayden did. Now, we also heard that she bought the revolver for self-defense. However, she did not educate Sydney at all in this manner. The second witness that they called was Campbell Solo. And Solo came up here and described the evidence that the plaintiff tried to use to prove negligence. However, Solo never actually talked to Jesse. Solo made his statements based on other facts and not Jesse's mindset. He ruled that Jesse had problems, but never actually talked to Jesse. This is extremely concerning. The final witness that they called was Williams. He did describe the scene at the front. We also heard from Hayden that she wanted to be with her daughter, and that also led to the crime scene. Now today, the plaintiff has failed in their proving that Hayden Duran is liable. And we trust that you will find Hayden Duran not liable of negligent parenting. Thank you.
Rebuttal.